Hello, my name is Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a look at some of the more interesting, important or irritating things that happened in gaming news this week. Which is quite a fair old bit as it happens. Firstly, Titanfall has proven to be wildly successful and popular, so it's no surprise EA have gone and called dibs on a sequel. According to GameSpot, an anonymous yet reputable source confirmed EA's people have spoken to Respawn Entertainment's people and a deal is already in place. Naturally, EA are neither confirming nor denying this and have thus far said only this: "We do not comment on rumour or speculation right now, all our focus is on supporting all the fans worldwide enjoying Titanfall." So that's pretty much a yes in other words, although they can't outright say so for business reasons. The high likelihood of a sequel also comes with the possibility of it coming to Sony consoles instead of being chained to Microsoft like a gimp on a leash. EA CFO Blake Jorgensen even said as much in November of last year, when he hinted that Titanfall sequels could come to other platforms. Maybe Titanfall 2 will also have support for clans, lobbies, and other standard multiplayer features curiously absent from Titanfall 1. Any sort of sequel will doubtlessly be a long way off though, so don't let it bother you too much. In the meantime, just kick back and enjoy Titanfall. I've even been tempted to give it a spin, although to do so I'd have to overcome my pathological aversion to EA's Origins service. The last time I installed that was to play the Mass Effect 3 demo and well, I still feel dirty even now. On the topic of sequels, earlier this week Japanophile clickbait emporium Kotaku got its mitts on some exclusive leaked screenshots for Assassin's Creed Unity, one of two new Assassin's Creed games reportedly due this year. The screenshots in question were of an early build that looked ropier than a British Navy knot tying contest, but suggested the franchise was heading over to revolutionary France and would likely have a new protagonist. Screenshots that have since been stabbed in the neck and thrown into a hay bale by this pre-rendered and lush looking official teaser trailer, packed full of Frenchness. So unmistakably French in fact, it could only be more French if it lit up a gitan, cried "Zut alors!" and jumped into bed with someone else's wife. Offensive national stereotypes aside, however, one interesting thing to note is that Unity is coming to PS4, Xbox One and PC only towards the end of this year, making it the first Assassin's Creed title exclusive to this new generation of consoles. No news about a new Assassin's Creed game is complete, however, without some weird obsessives complaining that it's not set in feudal Japan because they want to play as a ninja. Oh, they'll offer up all sorts of persuasive arguments for it, but don't be fooled. Anything they have to say can all be boiled down to a simple "GIF ninja please," and for the life of me I just can't understand why. It's not like there haven't already been a squillion-01 video games about sodding ninjas already, even though, and let's be perfectly honest here, ninjas haven't been at all cool or interesting since the fucking 1990s. If you're one of these twisted ninja obsessives and you want to play a game with ninjas in it, then bloody well pick up a copy of Mark of the Ninja. It's one of the finest stealth games you'll ever play and is a damn great game overall. Failing that, buy a Sega Game Gear at a flea market or car boot sale and a copy of GG Shinobi. I only suggest it because it's one of my all-time favourite Game Gear games, has ninjas in it and is hard as nails. Alternatively, you could pick up an old PS1 and a copy of Tenchu Stealth Assassin if you really hate yourself and want to play a terrible game. Finally, if you're really desperate for a game about ninjas, then download an Amiga emulator on a ROM for Last Ninja 2. It's not a brilliant game, but it's better than Tenchu, and hey, it's got ninjas in it! And if you can't do that, then, well, I don't know, pay a tramp to throw shurikens at your bollocks or something. Whatever it takes to stop you trying to shit up a franchise that, to its credit, at least tries to explore settings that haven't been done to death a squillion fucking times in video games already. The scope of the Assassin's Creed series allows for so many more fascinating periods of human history to explore. We could scale the pyramids and temples of ancient Egypt, stalk the foggy streets of Victorian London, experience the glory that was ancient Greece, or steep ourselves in the grandeur that was ancient Rome, or even take a gentle stroll through the hanging gardens of Babylon, or, as we will in Assassin's Creed Unity, experience the terror of revolutionary France firsthand and maybe stab Robespierre in the jaw because he really was a shit. All of human history to recreate and explore. And people harp on about sodding feudal Japan, just to satisfy a weird fetish for one of the most overused and boring tropes in all of video games. And because of that, out of sheer fucking spite, I hope the other still unknown Assassin's Creed game is entirely about assassinating the 1912 Terra Nova expedition to the Antarctic, because that would at least have penguins in it, and penguins are 1,000 times more interesting than ninjas ever will be. Speaking of things we could do with less of in video games, the Diablo III auction house has finally been shut down, ready for the upcoming Reaper of Souls expansion. Both the in-game gold and the real-world money auction houses are still accessible for the meantime, but only so players can finish off their current auctions and reclaim any gold or equipment. If If you don't claim any gold or items in your completed tab before June 24th, then they're gone for good, so don't say you weren't warned. According to Blizzard, the new Loot 2.0 mechanics implemented back in February now makes the auction house completely unnecessary. The idea behind Loot 2.0 is that while there'll be less loot overall, the loot you do receive will be better suited to your character class and generally more useful overall, with even common items having some sort of value. No more auction house should in theory be one less reason for the PC version to still have its always online requirement, but Blizzard haven't said anything about that going away anytime soon. From things that make me angry now to things that make me happy, as this week saw the worldwide release of Free-to-Play, Valve's documentary about the first international Dota 2 tournament. The film follows three of the scene's most well-known players, Clinton Fear Loomis, Benedict HYHY Lim and Daniil Dendi Ishutin, on their personal journeys to compete for the tournament's $1 million top prize, and has all the surprises, heartache and triumphs you might expect. If you already follow esports and Dota 2 in particular, then you already know how their stories end. Even so, the film still offers an interesting insight into what motivates these players to be among some of the best in the world at Dota 2, as well as some interesting tidbits about the esports scene in China, among other things. On the other hand, if you can't tell a tri-lane from a tower push, let alone what a Pudge-Chen fountain hook is or why Valve nerfed it, Free-to-Play does a solid job conveying the absolute basics of the game. At the film's core, however, are very human stories of hope, love, loss and adversity, universal themes that anyone can relate to, whether you binge on MOBAs 7 days a week or just play Angry Birds on the bus now and then. Some reviews have criticised Free-to-Play as being a glorified advert for Dota 2, although I do have to disagree there. It's no more a commercial for Dota 2 than King of Kong was for Ricky's Hot Sauce. The first Dota 2 International is the overall backdrop, but there are mentions of other titles popular in the esports scene, and the primary focus of the movie is always on one of the three people it follows. As its name suggests, Free-to-Play is entirely free to watch, and you don't even need a Steam account to do it, since Valve have uploaded the entire film in various languages to YouTube. So whatever your gaming tastes and persuasions, and even if you hate MOBAs, it's a finely crafted documentary and well worth a watch. I've included links to it in the description below. Another thing that's free to experience is Kart Life, an indie management simulator centred on 3 individual characters juggling their personal lives with the demands of running a small business. Previously available to buy on Steam, it has now been made completely free and open source by its creator Richard Hoffmeyer. Unfortunately, the official Kart Life site is still down at this time because Hoffmeyer's web host pulled it, no doubt due to the unsurprising spike in traffic from people looking to get a free game, which makes its removal from Steam seem all the more premature given Steam gladly lets developers host their games for free. It's all well and good making a thoughtful indie game completely free to play and even tinker with it if people so choose, but that does rather rely a fair bit on people actually being able to download it in the first place. For the time being, the only way you can take advantage of Hoffmeyer's generosity is if some clever clog sets up a mirror of the Kart Life site or hosts a torrent for it. A game that very much isn't free is Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, the latest installment in the long-running and frankly ridiculous Metal Gear Solid franchise by Nanomachines fanatic and obsessive food tweeter Hideo Kojima. Described as a prologue to the forthcoming Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, Ground Zeroes is set entirely around a US black site on Cuban soil in 1975 and stars big burly soldier type Snake, aka Naked Snake, aka Jack, aka Punished Snake, aka Big Boss, aka I stopped keeping track of this bollocks after Metal Gear Solid 2. Anyway, reviews for the game have been generally positive overall, with one significant criticism being its length, or rather severe lack thereof. According to most reviews, the game can be completed in around 2 hours if you really take your time with it, while speedruns of the game exist that show the entire main storyline being wrapped up in a whopping 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Jesus cycling Christ, the demo for Metal Gear Solid 2 lasted longer than that. That was bloody free. When did it become acceptable to pay 24 bloody quid for a glorified demo? Did someone throw me through a magical portal to fucking Bizarro World while I was asleep? Anyway, if you absolutely can't get enough of Hideo Kojima's musings on the nature of war and soldiers, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes is out now for PS3, PS4, Xbox 360 and Xbox One for $30 and €30 or 24 British pounds. And finally, as foretold in the ancient and blasphemous testament of Karnamagos, feminist media critic Anita Sarkeesian won the Ambassador Award at the Games Developers Choice Awards this week. In accordance with the prophecy, Empress Sarkeesian the Doombringer will now don a crown of frozen nerd tears and sit upon a grim throne, built from the skulls of your favourite video game characters. Whereupon the skies will turn blood red and split asunder, disgorging the 4 horse persons of the apocalypse to destroy video gaming as we know it. All you can do now is kiss your anime body pillow goodbye, say a final prayer to Ron Paul and retreat to your inner shelter to await the end. That is, if you're a shrieking exclusionist lunatic who doesn't like strangers in his clubhouse. For the rest of us, gaming will carry on pretty much as normal, only with maybe perhaps some more consideration given to people who aren't white male heterosexuals. Other GDC award winners included Bioshock Infinite for Best Audio, GTA 5 for Best Technology, Gone Home for Best Debut, and Papers, Please for far too many categories to list here. That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, please do let me know and let your friends know too. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable, and if you didn't like it, well, you probably bought Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, in which case, I don't know, nanomachines or something? You can go now.